If you watch every interview of a CEO, a world leader online, you'll notice some patterns in the way that they communicate. There's a reason why some leaders can speak once and they can shift an entire room. And it's not their vocabulary, it's not their word choice, it's because they've solved two high-quality communication problems that we're going to talk about in today's video. And we're going to talk about two problems that are related to this idea of gravity that take most people decades to solve. One of the things that we send out to our clients is we send out a recording device that they have around their neck that records how they speak and monitors where they are losing conversational territory in their meetings and in person. And we find commonly that high performers, CEOs, COOs, world leaders, entrepreneurs are losing money on a daily basis because they're not responding in the moment in the most appropriate way. And this is usually because a person is not either calm, is not either clear, or comfortable with themselves. If you have this trifecta, this trinity of speaking, there's something to you that people pay attention to and find incredibly attractive in a speaker. And the two high-quality communication problems we're going to focus on today are intended to strengthen this trifecta of calmness, of clarity, and of comfort. So the first problem we need to understand is that most people do not have emotional gravity. I'm going to put this phrase as a little sneak peek. We're going to come back to this in a moment, because in order to understand this, we need to first understand that most communication challenges stem from a focus problem. It's a focus challenge. Most people don't know how to focus on the right things in conversation or ignore the wrong things. They're very much distracted by what their senses, their eyes, lie to them about. For example, most of us might begin to process what our eyes see and let that stop us from accessing our internal information. We might walk into a meeting, see someone we deem intimidating, our eyes register that person, our senses are activated, our eyes process that, and somehow that external content begins to shape our internal content. This is the relationship between the external and the internal. Most communication problems come down to understanding this battle that is happening inside of us. External is everything that our senses process. The frown on someone's face, the loud noise, the volume that's being raised when someone is being irritated and irate. And then there's our internal, our content, our message, what we want to share with the world that would satisfy us if we said it. And oftentimes we overprocess the external and underdevelop what we share from the internal, or we don't have the right tools and frameworks to excavate this information. These are our external signals, our eyes, our ears, our body feels, our nose, and for the average person, our focus, our awareness is on 70% of the external. The other 30%, if we even get to it, is on our message. What a CEO, an elite speaker, knows how to do is not let the external signals shape their message. And this is emotional gravity. A person wins in conversation by creating gravity. You're calm. And that calm becomes the center of gravity that others will orbit around. And this will inevitably happen to a person with time. Your ability to stay on your point and deal with all of the slings and arrows that come at you, the paparazzi, all of this will make you bulletproof as a communicator if you can create gravity. And with enough time, everything begins to slide into your orbit. And this means practically being okay with seeing and processing things that you disapprove of or make you uncomfortable and not letting that shape or misshape your message. So how do you create gravity with this? Well, you have to rehearse what we call frame shifts. You get someone to disagree with you mid-sentence, to interrupt you, to challenge you, and you practice pausing and smiling and continuing on at the same pace, regardless of what their reactions are. Think of a mountain. A mountain is powerful, It's strong because it has stood the test of time. It has withstood all the erosion. It can bear the storms and not lose large chunks of itself. And this is what an elite communicator knows how to do. A CEO, a world leader, has minimal erosion because they have gravity. It's not that the storms don't exist. It's that it takes very little from the mountain of who they are. The storms take nothing. This is what we practice, by the way, inside of Elite Speak, where we train entrepreneurs, coaches, and leaders to communicate their brilliance to the world in a very clear, comfortable, and articulate way. We role play your worst case scenarios, and we develop this emotional gravity. So here's another action item that can help you with this. If you are a gentler personality and you're easily influenced by people, start using phrasing that takes the frame back into your control. It establishes emotional gravity. And this is what we begin practicing with one of our clients, Pete, who struggled with putting his foot down in business deals. He learned how to practice using assertive phrasing that allowed him to have what we call a gentle dominance. And these include phrases like, here's what we'll do. Let's define success. Here's what matters most. Here's what this means. This is the path that makes the most sense. This is called second floor speaking. Because instead of getting caught up in all the noise that's happening on the first level, the banter back and forth, you rise above it. And when a CEO speaks, that person is not choosing sides. That person is standing on the second floor, looking at what's unfolding and commentating, here's what's happening. This is what I see as the best course of action. One of the best examples of this, by the way, that I would highly recommend watching comes from Jeremy Irons' 3-minute crisis speech in the movie Margin Call. It's one of my favorite scenes. I'll leave a clip down below. We have all of our clients watch this and repeat these phrases aloud to get familiar with what serious and assertive second floor language sounds like from your own voice. This would be a phenomenal exercise for you to hear these phrases in your own voice. The second high-quality communication challenge we're going to solve is one of translation. One of the high-leverage investments that you can make with your time is understanding the personality profiles of your employees or anyone who works with you, who you interact with, and learning the communication style that corresponds with that personality. One of the lessons that I am learning is that you cannot lead everyone with your personality in its raw, organic state. You lead by speaking the language of the person that you're talking to. And a good CEO, a good world leader, a good politician, anyone in a position of authority is ultimately a translator. The average person speaks to everyone the same. A leader knows how to discern between what a person values and doesn't, and can adjust his or her language to that person's needs. These are the DISC, D-I-S-C, personality profiles. They are dominance, influence, conscientiousness, and steadiness. There are variations of this all over the internet today. People like to rebrand them with different labels: red, yellow, blue, green, grumpy, sneezy, bashful, angry. It doesn't matter. They're all the same general profiles, and they include the dominant, the influence, the steady, and the conscientious profiles. And knowing what your DISC profile is very important. Knowing what you like to hear and also what other people need to hear, this will dramatically reduce friction and confrontation in communication. So the 4 DISC profiles are dominance, influencer, steady, and conscientiousness. I'm repeating these because these are important to remember. And we have a graphic that illustrates these with examples of famous people you might know online who fit these DISC personality profiles. I'll link that below. In very simple words, someone who is dominant is very outcome-driven. Someone who's an influencer is very people-driven. Steadiness is stability-driven, and conscientiousness is very data-driven, very analytical. So knowing how to use the language, the vocabulary of each of these personality profiles is what is worth studying. So, for example, someone who's dominant, you might say, here's the fastest way to hit this goal. And that person will light up and say, well, let's move on it. For influencer, it might be, here's the exciting opportunity we get to create together. Again, people-oriented, very collaborative. For someone steady, it's here's how we'll stay consistent and support each other along the way. For someone who's conscientious, it might be here's the system that ensures we get this right. So for each of these sentences, there are words, there are phrases that will activate that person. And here's a chart, by the way, that I've created that explains the vocabulary and the reframing for each of these personality profiles. What this means is know the world according to the person that you're working with. And by the way, there's a way to transcend all of this, which is just to master simplicity. If you speak simply enough, you won't need to personalize or customize your language to the person that you're speaking to. And it's not that it's a poor option to do that, but what the military have done, for example, and recognized that it's usually best to keep things very simple. And this is their KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Everyone has a very basic amount of intelligence, and so we're going to bypass the custom packaging by just making things dirt simple. If you want to go a step beyond all of this and role play what we've talked about in this video and install it into your speaking software, then there's a link to book a call to speak with our Elite Speak team below this video. We'll personally diagnose your speaking challenges as a leader, as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, and help you understand those and bring you forward in the path to becoming an incredible world-class speaker. I hope this video helps.